Hey there. I hope you are having an amazing day. Today, I am going to be just kind of brain dumping some ideas on the energy of stopping the scroll. So, what do I mean by that? When we are promoting our services, our coaching and healing practices online using social media, one of the primary things we learn is you have to stop the scroll. You have to grab people's attention. We have 1.5 to 3 seconds to capture their attention, and then they're just scrolling away. And we practice that ourselves, right? We're on our phone and it's just doom scrolling, just on autopilot, just our fingers are going like this. And so, one of the key things we need to learn, the key skill we need to develop is how to stop the scroll. And throughout the years, as I've been learning this, how I've always heard it described is a hook, right? You want to hook them in. Where's the camera? Let's see so you can see it. Just hook them, like, hooking a fish on a line. We want to grab them so that they can't get away. Now, I've always had a problem with that imagery. I understand it. It's also like the old stage shows, vaudeville and stuff, where they would have the hook that would come on stage and pull someone off the stage, right? But I've had a problem with that, the energy of a hook. It just feels manipulative to me. Um, it feels very extroverted, external energy. And I'm very introverted and I like the deeper conversations. And so asking a question, which is what I did in the description for this video, so I get the irony of it, is the difference between asking a question to intrigue someone, to grab their attention in a way that's real, in a way that they can immediately self-identify as interested in that topic or not. And I think this is where I have fallen into kind of the practice as well. Okay, so a couple of things have happened. When I first started this journey of online marketing, of promoting for digital programs that teach social media marketing, I was trying to come up with these creative hooks. I drank the Kool-Aid and I was trying to work the program the way that it was designed, the way that it's proven to work. The challenge that I ran into was it started feeling very manipulative to me, which is out of sync with who I am. I try to just be a straight shooter. I will keep my thoughts to myself until I'm invited to share them because I know that most people don't want to hear other people's thoughts. They just want to talk about what's going on with them, all of their woes, all of their challenges. And occasionally we're lucky enough to be around people who are sharing their successes. And those are the joyous days, right? But most of the time, people are just focusing on what doesn't work for them, how things are so bad, and how the algorithm is against them, and woe is me. And I can be guilty of doing that too. In fact, just this morning, when I went out for my morning walk, I shared a voice message with two of my good friends who are also coaches saying that, I don't have the spark this morning. I rolled out of bed and I was thinking, "Whew, what are we doing here?" And I think part of that is because yesterday I'm excited and there's also the financial aspects of things. So I'm a semi-retired nomad. I live in a 7 by 14 foot cargo trailer. And this summer we are going to be building out a new trailer, a cargo trailer with a gooseneck hitch. It's a 32-foot trailer and we're excited about that. And yesterday we put the deposit on it. Yikes. A $4,000 deposit on this trailer. And I am so excited about it. And if you're familiar with sacred money archetypes, I am an accumulator and I like to hold on to money and I tend to be very cheap and I will go without rather than paying high price. My husband is kind of the opposite and he goes for quality and he actually has a much better way. But yet I was feeling that $4,000. But the reality is $4,000 really isn't that much when you think of the opportunities we have here online, where we have a global audience to earn that type of income if we're willing to show up every day in our true authentic energy. rather than just playing the game because this is how we were told to play it. So this morning I woke up, my energy was off. I recognized it, shared it with 2 friends, and I knew that by continuing to walk, even though it was only 37 degrees here and I had this on, I had my flannel jacket on, and then I've got a t-shirt on under this one. So I had my layers on, and the sun is not out today, so it hasn't warmed up that much. And I knew that by walking, I would shift my energy. And I thought, what else can I do? And so I tuned into one of the mentoring calls in the Legacy Builders program within the digital growth community. And she was amazing. And she said, "Where is your attention?" And I knew right away in those moments, my attention was on lack of how I'm showing up every day for these live streams and I'm speaking for an hour or more most days, and people are not showing up live. And I don't know if they're watching the replays, some of them, a few views here and there. And I was just feeling disheartened. And I was thinking, I need a good hook. I need a good hook. And it's like, I hate the energy of hooks. I hate the energy of hooks. But I found myself, and one thing I shared with my good friend Audrey, she has the Awaken Your Biz Goddess podcast. I encourage you to check it out on your favorite podcast app or here on YouTube. She has a channel. She's does I don't know what they call them. Are they called vodcasts? Video podcasts? I never understood where the pod part of that came out. So if you know, let me know in the comments. So I had mentioned her. I am a former Toastmaster. I progressed through the ranks to earn the Distinguished Toastmaster designation, which is the highest level, which merges a communication path of doing speeches, public speaking, and a leadership path. And then when you finish both paths, then you become a Distinguished Toastmaster. And I achieved that designation way back in 2003. And I remained a Toastmaster until around 2012 or 13. But we were taught the same thing. You need to hook your audience. But we weren't taught that way. We were just focused on capture their attention. And 2 great ways to do this is to ask an intriguing or an engaging question. Because the way the human brain is wired is that when someone asks us a question, we try to find an answer for that. And we try to respond to that. So that makes sense. And then the other is to make a bold statement. So it's like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean the e-learning industry is going to be $3 billion by 2032? I think that's an accurate stat. Not sure, but it's huge. It is growing from, nothing in my lifetime. In 1998, 95 or 98, about 98, I enrolled in the University of Phoenix's online bachelor's degree program. It was online learning, and it was so different than it is today. Everything was text-based. We received PDFs of the professor's lectures. We had textbooks that we had to get through the mail, and we had discussion forums that we would go in and answer discussion questions and respond to other students' discussion questions. This was in the early stages of online learning. I was one of the pioneers of being a student in that environment, and that experience changed my life. Number 1, it taught me that I have things to say. I have knowledge. I have wisdom. I was taking courses. Typically, there were 10 to 15 students in a course, and there were people that were senior executives within companies who needed to have a 4-year degree in order to get promoted. So they're taking these courses, and I'm thinking, watching or reading some of the responses to these people, it's like they don't even know how to write. What are they thinking? They're so flawed in the way they're thinking. And whether they were just phoning in the coursework, which was possible, so the cheater in me thinks, whether they were having some underling do their homework for them and submit it, who knows, because there was no way of checking at that point. But it was in the early stages, and now you look at the e-learning industry, and you can learn hobbies, you can learn business skills, you can learn communication skills, you can learn how to build 7 by 14-foot cargo trailer into living space, which is how my husband did it. We have so many opportunities to learn from new and creative and amazing people online. We're not limited by our locale because we have worldwide opportunities, right? So the progression, so in Toastmasters, we were taught to capture the people's audience with a bold statement. And another option, which I didn't include in the description, is also to use a quotation, something that someone has said that is the lead in to what you will be talking about. So those are all good ways. And I like thinking about it, reframing a hook into a way to just help you decide if this is something you are interested in learning more about. And so when I had that little reframe, it's like, that's valuable. That's something to talk about. And I have talked about just showing up, and just showing up sometimes is the best that we can do. And what's the next step up from just showing up? The next step up is to show up and add value, right? Today, hopefully, talking about this difference in the energy between hooks, catching people's attentions, and sharing what we're going to talk about so that we can attract and intrigue and engage people. And hopefully, if this has been something that you've struggled with, and there are so many formulas out there within the digital growth community, we have lists and lists and lists. And in the past, when I was trying to start a coaching practice, I purchased hundreds of hooks at a time, hundreds of a daily Instagram stories strategy. So every day gave you a topic. And it just felt so manipulative to me. I tried it, and it just never quite aligned for me. And to even doing these daily lives, I have in the past asked ChatGPT to help me create a catchy title and a description of what I'm going to talk about based on what I typed into chat when I was planning this talk. But if you've watched any of my lives, which is probably doubtful because my views are still very low, and I am okay with that. When we do that, it feels unwieldy to me because then I feel like I'm penned in. I tend to do more free flow thinking. The universe gifts me with little bits and little nuggets that I know that when the time is right, when you need to hear this, that's when you're going to show up. But it's hard to build a business around that, and I get that. So this is kind of my quandary. Which way do I go? Do I try to build the larger email address and build my audience by using the tried and true methods that feel unwieldy and manipulative to me? Or do I just continue on my path of speaking from the heart, of the free flow thoughts, knowing and trusting that what I'm sharing on any given day is valuable to someone, whether it's today or some future point in time? And even as I was saying that, I could feel my energy shift. So I'm fairly confident in which way I'll be going, which doesn't mean that on days where my energy is feeling down, that I won't try something that I know will probably be out of alignment with me just to see what happens. And yet what just popped into my head is, what could happen? Wouldn't this be like the best and the worst thing in the world? So you step out of alignment to create content using these catchy clickbaity hooks. And even if you deliver on the promise of it, still just feels kind of slimy. And what if you get the response? Suddenly, not just 5 people show up to watch my live stream, but 50 or 100. What happens? What happens? Ooh, is that a trap that we fall into? Because we're getting success on this path that's not in alignment. Is that really going to bring me joy and fulfillment? How long is it going to take me to realize that's not the way I want to go? How many people will purchase the Legacy Builders program through me to make up for the money that we just invested in our summer project, our trailer, and it will replenish my bank account, but how much will it take from my soul? Oh, wow. See, this is why I like to go unscripted, because if I have notes and I try to follow those bullet points, I just feel like I'm not sharing the magic that I have. This is the magic of who I am that I want to share with my customers. I want to be able to have conversations with them. In fact, when people purchase through me for at least 3 months, I will be there available to you one-on-one to help you navigate through this program, to help you look at it like it's an internship, more than just an online course. It's an internship teaching you these skills to survive and thrive in the online world, doing it in a way that feels right to you. Because if we're faking it, oh, is that really worth it? I mean, we hear about people that have successful careers in the medical field, lawyers, engineers, and then we find out when they're in their 40s or their 50s, yes, it brought in good money, but it was so stressful. It was so unsatisfying. They didn't like what they were doing, but yet they were trapped because of how much money they were making at the time. And so they lost all of those years struggling to find something that felt fulfilling. And some of them are artists or musicians at heart. And their parents, society has directed them, you're really good in the STEMs, right? The science, technology, engineering, what is the M? I don't know, math. Um, but you're really good in those things. So therefore, you should pursue these career fields. They're really good money, you know, but in your heart, you're an artist. You want to make music. You want to make art. You believe in people. Perhaps you're a coach or a healer like I am. It brings to mind the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And if you've read it, you are familiar. But he talks about having a zone of genius. And ideally, we will spend our adult time in our zone of genius. Frequently as children, we are. Frequently as children, we are. He doesn't talk about that in the book, but I believe that to be true. Before the constraints of our parents and society and the educational system and the workplace, before all of the responsibilities of adulthood, that's where we are in our joyful spot. But we give that up. We sacrifice that sense of self to become the responsible adults that we should be, right? That people have told us we should be, as if you can't be a responsible adult while pursuing your passions, something that lights you up, something that improves the world. So Gay Hendricks talks about having zones of excellence and zones of genius. And your zone of excellence might be, the understanding of the sciences and engineering and math and medicine. But your zone of genius might be something else. I look at it when I read that book, when I talk to people about it, I think people can tell us and point out our zone of excellence because that's what we project externally. That is what we accomplish kind of in day-to-day living. But that doesn't mean that's what lights us up. That's what our zone of genius is. That is where we are not only providing value, but also feeling fulfilled. Does that make sense? Can you see the difference? There have been times when people have told me that I'm so good at something. And it's like, yeah, I am good at that. Yes, I could do that, but it doesn't light me up. And so I resist. I have been very fortunate in that I think in past experiences, I've probably gone through this loop before. And I've started to say, I understand that. And yes, I agree. I'm good at that. But that's not what I want to do. At 61 years old, I'm still trying to figure that out. And I doubt that I ever will figure it out. Because then what would I have to keep looking for, right? Isn't that part of what makes the journey so exciting? So as we're creating content, as we are showing up, as we are providing value, we have the energy of the hooks. How are we capturing people's attention? For me, the hooks is a lot like, as someone who has always felt unseen, unheard, and overlooked because of my quiet nature, hooks feel like I'm screaming. It's like I walk into a crowded room and then suddenly I start laughing really loudly, which I'm not going to do. Or like I have to start waving my hands and just being this big exterior extroverted being who I'm not. Just feels not me. But slipping into a conversation, hearing something, or what I always did was I would always walk up to someone who was standing by themselves, say, "Hey, how are you doing? I'm Donna," and see what happened, because I like those deeper one-on-one conversations instead of just the frou-frou frivolous stuff. Yeah. So that's what I have to share today. I'm not quite sure where I will be going with my hooks, how to attract audience, how to encourage someone to tune into this live stream every day, as they're scrolling, if what I'm saying is enough to catch their attention. This is an experiment, and I have been doing it for today is the 22nd, so 24 days now. And although ideally it would have been nice if I had started seeing some traction by now, I'm not giving up on it because who knows? May take me 30 days, may take me 130 days. But as long as I'm feeling good, as long as this feels like something I enjoy doing, even on these low energy days where I'm not quite sure if I'm providing value, I'm trusting that by showing up and by sharing my heart, my own doubts and fears and uncertainties, that I will be that role model to other coaches and healers who feel called to start a practice, who would love to have their coaching practice serve as an extra avenue of bringing in income or a replacement method. So yeah, it's exciting, it's scary, it's intimidating, and we really have to be careful of our energy. So I guess that's all I have to say on that. So I hope you have an amazing day. Be careful of where you're putting your attention, whether it's on things that support you or things that ultimately will sabotage you. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.